We live, kid.
Go on. Come from the West Indian parade. They didn't have parades this year, right?
You know what's funny? I was wondering about that.
I heard they had some small shit.
Was it?
I think so.
I know there's one Trini cat that works with us. And when he was leaving Monday morning, I was like, yo, what's up? You going to Juve? And he was like, nah. So I started laughing.
Juve was Sundays usually, right? And then
Sunday into Monday. Right. That shit. Yo, dude, starts at 2:30 in the morning. And then the next day, all through the parade, they just on go, son.
They had something, though, because I was by Mata over there, the Hunts Point of Brooklyn. And the girls is out.
Yeah.
And shit. And they was all dressed, painted. And one of my mans like, yo, what happened? They beat you up or whatever. She was like, nah, just came from the parties or whatever.
Yeah.
So I guess they had parties.
You've never been, right?
No.
Yo, son, I've been to quite a few. Let me just say that. I've been to quite a few. My favorite thing to do was to go on Sunday and go to a party, right? So, Dirk and Reg and all these dudes, whatever. That's the Guyanese family from downtown, whatever. And Dirk's family would always throw a party, always. So I would be there. Yo, that shit was just, food, good music, the goodness. Yeah. Like, it was dope, son. We used to have fun. A lot of fun, actually. But the street?
Nah, I know it was crazy.
What?
I used to work, when I worked the bus routes down there, it was like, oh, God. You try to stay away from that line. Like, oh, I'm not picking that line this month for this tour because I already know that. The parade and the Juve and all that.
Wow. Oh, you would pick another route?
Oh, yeah.
When it was time to pick?
Yeah, man. Church Ave, all that other stuff was.
Yeah. But it's, if you go, how do I say this? I've never been out there. All right, cool. Don't mind me. I'm a little distracted.
So what's going on? Anybody in here?
Yeah. We got somebody in here. All right. And I see the lighting is correct. I hope the sound is going to be correct, man. So it's definitely looking right tonight. So Sel, tonight, let's jump off of Juve for a second. Tonight, we're going to have, I hate using this term, but you may recognize her from the show American Gangster, Trap Queens. You may recognize her from her music or her writings, or maybe something happening in the news. But tonight we're going to welcome New York City's, by way of Strong Island, Miss Aisha Hall coming to the show. Very excited to have this conversation because she has an amazing story. So we're going to be speaking to Miss Aisha momentarily. We're going to
Angelica, sorry, mistake. Brooklyn, baby, you already know. Sunset Park. I don't want to, I got the Sunset Park shirt on, but I don't want to flex on y'all.
Oh, salute all the way down in Pensacola, Florida, Mr. Mark Manuel, my bro. I see you. The regular schmegular, Miss Angelica Reyes. Good evening. Yeah, so tonight we're gonna be speaking to Aisha Hall. We're gonna do what we always do, and have this conversation. So it was interesting for me to find out that Aisha's like super multifaceted. She's not only a businesswoman, she's a musician, artist, entertainer, author. Like there's so many different things that she has going on. So it should make for a very healthy conversation. Yeah, man. There's a lot of meat on the bone, as they say. So, so Juve, the celebration is dope because, again, it runs from Sunday all the way to the end of like Monday night. And it's nonstop.
You know what was the crazy shit I used to see over there when I used to be in Troy and Bergen and all that? Them on the stilts. When they used to be on them stilts, rocking. I'm like, yo, this shit is crazy.
Yeah, man. Yeah. I always like the partying aspect of it because, again, it starts from so early and it just, dude, it's nonstop. Yeah. And the food,
just the violence, of course, gets the bad name, you know.
Yeah, that's
that goes with anything. Puerto Rican parade, all that. So
that's
I remember being at the parade with the kids with the water and all that, with the raping and all that shit. I was right there. I was like right across from those kids. I remember that day vivid.
Really,
we was like seeing them wilding, and then we just walked. You know, we kept going.
Yeah,
we almost got into our own little scuffle over there.
Naturally,
it was like
naturally,
you know, but
damn,
it was crazy.
To our brother all the way in Seattle, Washington, Mr. Reggie Smith, we see you.
We talked him up, Reg.
For real. We were just talking about
parties.
So tonight we have Miss Aisha Hall. But so you want to do these little points that we want to speak about before, or do you want to run the track and then we'll move from there?
Whatever you want. Let's just do it now, then we run the track and then bring her in.
All right, cool.
You know.
Salute to Mr. Samuel Rossi, my connect. So basically, first of all, we want to say condolences and rest in peace to an immense actor, a tremendous artist in his field, Mr. Michael K. Williams. I never called him by his government. To me, he was always Omar.
Yeah.
And man, this is such a sad loss. But you never really know what somebody's going through, right? You don't know their personal vices. You don't really know. So
yeah, it's usually like people are surprised, like, damn, I didn't see it coming. You know, I didn't see him like that. Or like with the other actor too, the Philip Hoffman. Yeah, same thing. You know, it was like kind of like, nah, I never saw that in him. So, you know, I mean, we don't know if it's foul play or anything, but you know, they're still waiting to see. But yeah, he will always be Omar, and
forever.
You know, just to think about the character, you know, the homosexual thug, you know, and it's like, you know, us, you know, Latinos and blacks, how we, you know, we always shun away from that type of lifestyle, you know, like, oh, you know, and to see like how respected he was as that character. It's crazy.
It's funny that you say that because I think his character Omar put everybody in a real tough position because of the homosexual aspect of it. I honestly think there's a lot of truth to the character, right? But that's a whole other conversation.
Yeah, that's trapped in the closet.
Surprise, motherfucker.
We want to say rest in peace and condolences to the Williams family. Evidently, he went to Westinghouse with a few of the OGs from our neighborhood.
Okay.
Was never aware of that. So salute to him, man, and rest in peace. Speaking of Bati business, here's another piece of news that we have to share with everybody. So evidently, I know this is not news, but I think the actual indictment is news. So evidently, Africa Bambaataa and members of the Zulu Nation are going to go on trial for child sex trafficking. Child sex trafficking. Pardon me. I got a little tongue tied there. So evidently, one of the children that was molested has come forward, and before the statutes of limitation. Yo, what's wrong with me tonight? Before the statute ran out, they filed a complaint. They're dragging these people into court, and it's going to be all on Front Street. And I think it's high time, one, that this happened, because, you know, people I know in the BX had told me this is like an open secret. Everybody knew about it.
Wasn't Hassan Campbell one of the guys that he allegedly?
Yep. Hassan Campbell, and then some other gentleman by the name of Beast. He was known as Beastinger. He was the dude that was on Star from Troy Terrain, Star and Buck Wild. Yeah. He was on his show. He was the one that really like broke the story. Okay. So yeah, I wonder how that's all gonna play out. And finally, shout out to our guy Randy Wilkins, man. You know, I saw this. Sel, you brought this up, and it instantly made me think of Randy Wilkins, because, as you know, he's going to be doing the doc on the captain here, Derek Jeter. And evidently, finally, Derek Jeter joins the Hall of Fame. About time.
Yeah, he went in today. They rehab rescheduled because of COVID.
Mm-hmm.
And he went in today, man. Got to respect the captain, everything he did.
For sure.
And I'm sure Randy got some great footage, and that documentary is going to be fire.
Yeah, man. So salute to Derek Jeter. And more importantly, salute to our guy, Mr. Randy Wilkins, a.k.a. Little Spike, man. I'm looking forward to that work. And everybody, if you're New York Yankees fans, when it hits, you definitely got to check out the documentary that Randy Wilkins does. So, yeah. So, what's up? You ready to run this track?
Yeah, let's do this.
Let's go. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the show. I'm your host, Mr. A.
Sally Sasson in the building.
And this is the set 6145. Tonight, we welcome to the set Miss Aisha Hall. Miss Aisha Hall is a multifaceted, multi-talented businesswoman. And if you've never heard of her, I'd be very surprised. But she was in the street. Oh, I'm sorry. Let me take that back. She was in the business world getting it. And I think it's highly important, especially for the ladies in the room, to listen up and pay attention, because this is what you call a self-made woman. And she was definitely not afraid to get in there and make it happen. And the way she did it, you got to respect it. I mean, that's not something normal, right?
Can't knock the hustle, right?
At all. So, excuse me, salute to Sam No Graham in the building. Without further ado, so let's just bring this Hall in. She's looking camera ready, and let's chop it up. So the set welcomes Miss Aisha Hall. Miss Aisha Hall, how are you this evening?
How are you guys?
Wonderful.
Thanks for having me.
We appreciate the fact that you can give us your time. Thank you for coming. I hope you're well. And you're looking very camera ready, so I could definitely appreciate that. Look at that smile, Jesus Christ. Just like Miss King. Miss King had the $1 million smile going on. For real.
Yeah, that's who I just left. We was handling some business. I'm like, ticket, I gotta go.
Y'all stay handling business, that's for sure.
Stay handling business, yes.
That's good.
Yeah. I think that that says a lot about who you are. And I think that people don't understand that there are women out there in the field that are doing things that are not normal, or quote unquote what we believe to be normal.
Right.
So I think that that kind of leads me to my first question, because I think as a young woman such as yourself, where did the interest for delving into markets and commodities, and where did that come from? Did that just pop out of the blue? Did you learn that from somebody?
Yeah, it kind of came from out of nowhere. Somebody had inquired to me about borrowing a large sum of money, and I had access, to different lenders and things like that. And I'm like, I don't have anybody that's going to give you that many millions in the time that you need it. He's like, I gotta have it. And I'm like, what do you need it for? And then he started explaining to me that he was a trader. And I'm like, what is that? Explain it to me. He explained something to me one time, I'm all in. So when he said I'm into this is before the PPPs that they know about right now.
Right.
This was for private placement platforms.
Okay.
He said PPP. I'm like, what the hell is that? He said, it's a world that a lot of people don't know about, but it's a lot of money to be made. And if I can show that I have such and such many millions, then I can get into this trade. And I said, what do you mean show? You don't have to spend it? I said, no, I just need to show it. So my interest was piqued. And that's how I ended up getting into that game.
You know what just piqued my interest, Sal?
What?
How some rando just came up to Ms. Horn, was like, yo, I need this money. Like they just knew if they were going to get some money, they had to go to her. You know what I mean?
And is it only precious metals, or is it like stones, platinum, or anything else like that involved?
It's any type of commodity. It could be salt, sugar, rubber, gold, any type of commodity, anything.
Right.
It could be wood, anything. A lot of times these deals with gas, natural gas, things like that,
Right.
and they get traded in the private market, on the private market rather. Doesn't require a license. The SEC is not over it. It's like if I go in my backyard and I'm playing around and I say I'm gonna do a garden and I'm digging and all of a sudden I strike oil. That's my oil.
Right.
As long as the oil is going like this and not going like this into my neighbor's yard, as long as it's not on a slant.
Right.
So that's my oil. So if you live across the street from me and I want to make a deal with you to purchase my oil, I mean, that's private. There is no
regulations,
governing body or no regulator over that. It's private. So you have trading that's regulated, and then you have trading that's not regulated. This is international commodity trading that's not regulated. Private placement platforms. That's where the word private comes in. So this is where everything got kind of, gray area. So, we'll get more into that, but yeah.
Yo, so that's interesting because basically what Miss Hall is saying is there's a whole platform where people are exchanging millions, probably even billions of dollars, right?
Billions, yes.
Billions that nobody just doesn't know about. Like regular folk like me and you just don't know about that that's happening.
Right. And it's like, most people get taught. I was fortunate to have a father who was, my father was a hustler. He was a hood celebrity in and of himself. And he just was kind of somewhat of a conspiracy theorist. He always taught me different things.
Fits right in with us.
Yeah, looking outside the box. So, the average person is, 9 to 5, running in the rat race, and they don't really have time to even think about things like that. They're just trying to pay their bills. And I've been fortunate to have not only the curiosity, but the guts to, when I look into something, not to just talk about it, but all right, so what's the next move? What we doing? How does it work? What's up? What I got to do? I've always been one to not just talk about it. I act on things, which is why I've been so successful over and over and over again,
A dear friend of mine, Mr. Shawnee Corey, out of Fort Wayne, Indiana, called that intestinal fortitude. I think that's a saying that's been, a phrase that stuck with me for quite some time. But speaking of your dad, so your dad is Collins, correct?
Prince Collins.
So was he Rasta?
Yeah.
He was.
Yeah, he was a Rasta to some degree, but he also was an Israelite. He also was a Moor. He also was everything under the sun. He was star body. And I was able to be introduced to all these different theories and, all these different philosophies from a little kid. So that definitely shaped me. It definitely made me feel different than the average person, especially the average woman. My father also was a reggae artist. So he was doing a lot of music with Public Enemy back then, doing a lot of shows with them. And he would bring me and I would always jump on the stage, Chuck D and Terminator X, those were some of his very good friends. They all from Roosevelt, where I'm from, Keith Murray, everybody's from that area that I'm talking about. And my father would do shows and always bring me up on stage. So I got, I got pretty brave, I wasn't scared of a crowd. I wasn't scared to speak up.
Right.
So I just had a little bit of a different upbringing, and it definitely shaped me to be who I am. My company, I had almost all male employees, and I had to be tough. With guys, they think sometimes girls you could walk over. I was the boss. I made it very clear, but I was also very fair. And I believed in paying my people well, and I attribute a lot of that to my dad. Because, he was in the street, but he always paid his people well. And I got to see all of that. So I really just kind of mimicked his street business in the corporate world. I was corporate thugging.
Wow.
Aisha, so was that calculated that you had a male staff, or was it just something that happened?
No. That was definitely a choice that I made.
Gotcha.
The guys that worked for me, I don't even like to say for me, that worked with me.
Right.
They were they were in the street before. And I didn't want anybody who went to college. You know, that's a different type of education. They don't really learn how to hustle. They learn how to work. And I was the boss, but they were the bosses too. I was training them to be able to hold it down without me having to be there. So I wanted people who weren't scared to get down and dirty, you know, and I couldn't have made a better choice.
Mud it up.
Do you believe that these people that you had working with you, or let me rephrase that. How were you able to corral these individuals and keep them in a certain line, understanding the respect? You know, because being a woman and commanding, one, such money, and two, that energy that these men bring to the table. Because when you're talking about street people, right, people that get it from the mud, there's a different energy, right? How are you able to corral these guys and make them, or have them understand, you know, the line of succession, if you would?
That's a great question. I mean, honestly, you know, I think that people really underestimate how much business goes into being in the street.
Mm-hmm.
You know, money talks. That's number one. So you know, I was bringing in a certain amount of money before they came in. So that was respected. B, I looked at them as my equals. You know what I mean? I didn't treat them as if they were less than me. I may have had more knowledge, but I made sure that they understood that was all about studying and they could get to that same level. I never made anybody feel less than. You know, I definitely made it clear that I worked my way to this point. And I think it was just all about real recognizing real and respect, recognizing respect. You know, I definitely feel that, you know, I learned even being in prison, you know, I learned that, you know, people will mimic the person who has the biggest energy. If a clown happens to have all the energy, you're going to get a lot of people acting like clowns. But if somebody comes in, right, exactly. If somebody comes in who has the biggest energy, who moves proper, the people are going to move proper as well. You know, so I think that they were able to see how I moved. They respected how I moved. And then they also wanted what I had, not actually what I had, but they wanted to be able to achieve that. So they said, okay, well, if we move like this and act like this, well, maybe we'll get this, you know? So I really took the time to train them. And the crazy thing is, with them being street guys, for lack of a better word, and they're talking to corporate billionaires, I proved to myself that the only reason why more of us aren't in those positions is because nobody's taking the time to train and teach, because they didn't know anything. But I put so much energy into what they were doing and teaching them, and they were able to fill these roles better than anybody who could have graduated Harvard or any of these big schools. When people call a company, they say, hey, can I speak to such and such? And I would be laughing because I would say, if they saw the face that was on the other line with them,
they'd cross the street with the phone in the hand.
Yeah, they saw, but they were sweating these guys. But that just showed that, you know, us colored folks in the world, people really, really, they doubt us and they put limits on us. But when you took away the physical, because it was mostly over the phone, we got the same respect that any other Fortune 500 company would get with a bunch of black guys, you know. So it was really definitely an eye opener for me, and that's all I wanted to hire. If you wasn't coming from the street, you couldn't work for me, you know.
So before you say something, hold on a second. I'm sorry. Listening to Aisha speak, you know, the way she speaks, this isn't something you could make up. This isn't something that, you know, a character that she's playing. You can definitely, and I'm sure even in the audience, they could feel that she's authentic, right? And I just want to say I appreciate you for actually just being who you are, because it's definitely coming across. Go ahead, Sal.
Thank you.
What I was going to say was, were these guys so good at it because us coming from the streets, right? We feel like you got nothing to lose. So you're going to give them that A game over that phone that you're like, maybe someone that went to Harvard or whatever might not push. You know, they might be like, oh, I'm going to be a little hesitant with this game right here. You know, did you feel that way, Aisha? Is because they were coming from the streets and it was like they felt like they had nothing to lose, and let's just rock out.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, the other side, they kind of do things because they want to, right? But we kind of do things because we have to. So there's a different hunger when you have to. Right. When it's like, I'll never have, you might have white guys that go on Wall Street and they interview at this company, that company. They have different options. This was like, I'll probably never run across anything else like this again in my life. Let me make sure that I do this right. Let me make sure that I'm all in, because the money was there. I'm talking about walking into the office, and if I wish one of the guys were here, they could tell you, somebody just got $250,000. Whose deal is this? Not mine, boss lady. Is it yours? Not mine. It's like, it was so much money. Right. It was like unreal. And it became so regular that when we ended up getting in trouble, when they was speaking those numbers, we didn't really have a reaction to it. And that ended up being one of the problems, because when they would say certain numbers, 100 million, 200, we heard those numbers all day long, every day. So we didn't have a physical reaction the way they did. So when we're talking about numbers or being asked questions, and it's like, oh, like, I don't know what, for 50 million. And they're like, you need to say that so calm, like it's nothing. But it was nothing to us, because this is the level that we dealt with every day, So it was just like we were out of our league to them, especially these guys.
Is that the first time you got into trouble with
first time ever in my life?
I've always said that the most dangerous people for the business world are people that come from the street. I used to say, an educated street person. And I mean that to say, I used to believe it was education many years ago, but it's not. It's more about knowledge and understanding of what they're dealing with. Once you get that understanding, as she's demonstrating here, those could be the most ruthless business people that you could deal with. And I don't mean from a, like a street perspective. I just mean we're built differently, right?
We are. Mm-hmm.
And when you have people like that, man, as clearly demonstrated here.
Definitely my father's child. 100%. I literally worshiped the ground my father walked on, just seeing the way guys respected him, and when he got locked up when I was younger, people would always stop and give me money. They would see me and be like, oh, yo, your father put me on. Your father put me on. Your father put me on. So me hearing that, I grew up saying, I got to put people on. When I have an opportunity, I got to share it. I got to share it, because that was my father's legacy, putting people on. You know what I mean? Whether people, have an issue with what he was doing, because, he was in the street, he was hustling. It doesn't matter. They decide in Congress every day if something's legal or not. I don't look at what's legal based on what a bunch of white guys on Washington decide. I got friends doing 20, 30 years for weed, So it's like, what's legal and what's not legal is just a matter of opinion outside of violent crimes or violating somebody's person. But, so I always put a lot of respect on my father's name, because I saw what he did. And my father was such a gangster, not in gangs. I don't mean in that way, but I mean just ruthless with no, he set standards for what he would accept. You can't disrespect him. He treats you fairly, but don't disrespect him. Don't steal from him. I could talk about it now, but I couldn't talk about it because he's dead, unfortunately. But and I remember my father busting at cops. I just grew up watching such a gangster lifestyle from my dad, but not reckless. Just demand my respect, and I don't care who you are or how you move. You're gonna respect me if you want respect from me, and if you don't fall in line, there's consequences. So I took all of that into business, all of that. And I think that's why I was able to get those guys to respect me the way they did, because I don't play no games. It's respect, 100%. Even it's funny when they would have girls, they would always come and they would say, I like this girl, but you gotta approve. Yeah. You don't like her, because you don't tell about this, she gotta go. So one day I said, this is what we're gonna do. We're gonna prank her, and somebody gonna call her and say, yo, I'm calling from the U.S. government, and I want to ask you some questions about such and such and such. Would you be willing?
See if she fold.
Yeah, see, you gotta see, because I did business unorthodox. If somebody needed to trade and get it done, and I'll tell you when we get into that about how I got in trouble.
Mm-hmm.
But I did whatever I needed to do to close the deal. You know what I'm saying? And if you were going to have people around, it needed to be trustworthy people. Because I don't do that telling stuff and all of that. That's a very big deal to me, and I'm very passionate about that.
Yourself, could you imagine this being the boss right here, or partnering or something? The energy is just, you know what I mean?
But you would have confidence that things are going to work out because she's going to
for sure. She's commanding the ship. It's like I said before. You could just feel the energy. Everything is in line. But I'm curious, Aisha, are you an only child?
No.
Well, okay. So you
I'm
have
the oldest. I'm the oldest.
Oh.
Yeah, I'm the oldest. Okay. Yeah, my parents have 5 kids.
God bless. Okay.
My dad has 10. I know some I don't.
That could be dangerous.
Yeah.
You know how that goes.
Yeah, for sure.
But he's married to my mom, and they have 5 children, me being the oldest. So I've always been a leader,
It
they would teach these things. So
your father, it almost sounds like your father, because I hear the way you speak of him. Mm-hmm. It almost sounds like he charged you with being the leader. So he knew what he was doing when he was raising you. And it definitely comes across. You know what I mean?
Let me give you an example real quick.
Please.
Something with my dad. 2 real quick. One, I was talking to this guy. I was a teenager, and I decided I didn't want to talk to him anymore. My father was very, very vocal about, a girl and, what you shouldn't or should be doing. So when he wanted to take it physical, I wasn't ready. I wasn't with it, and I cut him off. I met another boy, and I didn't know they were friends. I didn't know they knew each other. So I'm hanging out with the new kid, and the guy that I cut off, he seen I was talking to the new guy, and I was like, oh, shoot, they know each other. But, oh, well, whatever. Mm-hmm. And he started getting disrespectful, like talking crazy. So I went home, and I said to my dad, I said, Daddy, I need you to handle something because somebody was being disrespectful to me. And the first thing my father said was, did you do something that warranted disrespect? And I was like, huh? So I'm used to my father just coming out the fence.
Right.
He asked me first, like, basically, am I going to go and I'm going to hear something crazy or is this? And I'm like, no. And that was a very important moment for me because it's like, wow, I had somebody who my character mattered to, whose reputation was also dependent on my reputation.
Right.
You know what I mean? My father, he's very respected. Can't have no daughter running around acting crazy. So he asked me first. And that definitely stuck in my head about how to carry myself. So when my father rolled back over there with me, they was like, oh shit, that's Prince's daughter. Oh, my bad. So my father got this close to this guy's face and was like, you ever disrespect my daughter again, I'll shoot you in your fucking head in front of everybody. And I'm like,
message
in the background, and I got a taste on what power felt like. Everybody was shook. And I was like, I want to be like that. I want to be able to command the room. I want to be able to walk in the room and everybody be like, that's Aisha. You know what I mean? Like, I want to leave a legacy because my father definitely left a legacy. And I'm like, I got big shoes to fill. But from a kid, he was always like that. And another example is one time he lined all of my siblings up. And he said, I need y'all to turn around and face the wall. So we was like, okay. So he said, let me ask y'all something. What's happening outside? So I was the oldest. I went first. I said, it's raining. He asked my sisters, it's raining, all down the line. He said, do you know it's raining or do you believe it's raining? So I'm like, I believe it's raining. I can't see. I believe it's raining. So after we all said we believed that it was raining, he made us turn around and he had his friend. His name was Bull. I'll never forget. With the the old school sprinkler, and he was spraying it on the window. So it wasn't really raining.
Right.
So he was like, that's a lesson for y'all. You either know something or you don't know. Don't let nobody tell you no bullshit. And I was probably like maybe 8 or 9 years old. And he said, none of y'all asked me, can I turn around and go see if it's raining? Y'all just said, I believe, rather than going to check. So that helped me with business too, because I was able to do things and make so much money. Almost every deal closed because I didn't believe it. I had to see the documentation. I had to see the proof. I had to know before I made a decision.
Cross the T's and dot your I's.
Yeah, they really shaped me. Like, that dude was so dope. He really, he I don't even have the words for him, yo. He's different.
And you know what? The hustling part of whatever, I take the quote. I mean, I say hyperbole from The Godfather when he's like, "I never apologize for what I had to do to feed my family," and that always stuck with me. You know, you do what you got to do. Take care of your own.
Yeah, that's right.
I mean, it also ties to the fact of what she mentioned earlier when it regards legality, because legality there's never like people will try to, or the government will try to portray it as a moral decision, but laws aren't based on morality. They're just not. They're suited for needs, people's needs, and a specific group of people's needs.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, where Miss Hall got dragged down and got knocked for the time that she did, somebody else probably would have got off with an ankle bracelet and sent home, and probably would have been back to work a few months later, right? But that's a whole other animal. So it seems like, and the only reason why I'm asking you is because of the conversation we're having. We're talking about your dad and you know, what he instilled in you. What are you like? Because I need to know, what are you like when you're dealing with men then? Because it almost seems like you know, you're a very structured woman. You're very calculated. Say again?
Very alpha-like. Super
alpha. Right? But I also, when you were making a comment, speaking about your dad, you said that he taught you a lesson on how your reputation and his reputation were interlocked.
Mm-hmm.
And that you understood how you conduct yourself is going to be a reflection on him.
Mm-hmm.
Right? When I look out into the world now, the way women are portrayed, I'm going to say, and how some women do act and adhere to certain things, I don't think women sort of, you know, I don't think they understand that the way you act is how you're going to be judged.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And I don't necessarily see Miss Aisha Hall, you know, getting on the table at brunch, popping it like it's hot. You know what I'm saying? Do you think there's a disconnect there when it comes to how women?
100%. That's you know, I'm an artist, and that's the number one and probably the only reason why I haven't blown to the level that's possible yet is because I would be considered conservative, I guess, to some degree.
Right.
Because all of this is for who I'm with. You know, it's not for the world. I do believe in getting sexy. You know, if you look at my gram, I do take some sexy pics, whatever, but there's a limit to how far I'll go. Because it's just like, you know, when you carry yourself a certain way, I have a reputation, and that just ain't it. That would just take away from it. You know, I'll never forget when I was in the halfway house. It would be so funny because all the girls that were there, maybe like 5-6 girls, and there's maybe like 300 guys. And we had one open, you know, eating area and TV room. So the girls would go in there with the guys. And there would be so many warnings about, oh, you know, don't talk to the guys when you go in there. Just look at the TV, go about your business. And all the girls would go in there, and they wouldn't always be the best looking women, but they would go in there and the guys would be like, always trying to get with them. And then I would come in the TV room and nobody would say nothing to me. They wouldn't say anything. And the only exchange we had at one time is I came in there with about 20 of my books. And I had written a book right before I got out, one of my books, and I got copies of it. And I went in the TV room, and every guy in there that had some money purchased my books. Nice. So I was like, that's the difference in the attention. They got that attention, but the attention, I still got attention, but they respected how I moved. And one guy, he tried to say a little something, and the other guys was like, yo, chill, shorty don't even move like that. And it's like, oh, okay. So it was like that energy. I didn't even have to say anything, you know? So it goes back to what you said about the energy you give out is the energy you get. So it wasn't like, you know, I didn't think I was attractive because I was single at the time. You know, it was like people just felt like, oh, I probably don't even have nothing she want. I probably can't even bring, because what do you do with somebody who accomplished so much, you know, that everybody knows? It's like, put it like this, the dating game was very difficult for me because you say the wrong thing in about 5 minutes, I'm like, oh, he's trash. Oh, he's trash. Oh, he's a bitch. You know, they moving mad feminine. And it was like, if that's your thing, that's cool, but that's not for me. I needed a man's man. You know, somebody that's gonna make Aisha be a little submissive, and that's very hard to do. You got to earn that. So it was like I was the one date queen. When I came home, I probably went on about 10 one dates.
Wow.
One restaurant, you know, either you laughing, it's kind of too girly for me, or it was just something. I'm like, oh God, I can't. You know, I felt the bitch assness. I could sense it a mile away. I was like, I can't.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you're just joining the show, I'm your host, Mr. A.
Sally Sassong in the building.
And this is the Set 6145. Tonight, we are speaking to the woman with the biggest energy that's ever touched this room, Miss Aisha Hall. Oh, man. So, you're hearing everything that she's saying, right? And the reason why I'm pointing it out and want to make this a sticking point is because of the environment that we live in nowadays, right? The relationships between men and women is definitely on some funny, dumb shit. It is. And when Aisha's talking about her being the one date queen, right? There's specific reasons to why. And it's because of certain characteristics, I'm going to say, that we, like these younger this generation that's out now, they don't hold those same principles, I guess is what I'm trying to say. And to hear her say it and in such a way that she's not shy about saying it, I could really appreciate that, because those principles and those interactions, they just don't happen. Everything is online and everybody's on some goofy shit nowadays.
Now, mind you, social media didn't exist before I went away.
Exactly.
So I came home very misled. I said I was able to get a crazy bag, you know, in a world where it was difficult. When I saw Instagram, I was like, oh, I'm about to hit $1 billion because everybody got it. Everybody's rich. Then I realized it was fake. And I didn't know that at first. You know, I was misled in the beginning. I was like, yo, like, because, you know, I came home and I'm trying to put all these different things together and figure it out and stay out of jail at the same time. You know, because if I had the same fearlessness that I had before I went away, you know, I would probably not even be able to be on this podcast, because I would have my bodyguards and I'd be $1 billion, because the shit I would be doing would be so crazy. But I have that fear now because of all that time I did. Right. I'm not as loose with, you know, my grind, you know. So and not to say I would be too big, but I'm just making a point of like, course. You know, I might be female Jay-Z, you know, as far as like the way that I would be, or Oprah or whatever. If I had
no hesitation.
Yeah, but I have a lot of hesitation, you know, but I definitely feel like people right now, like, you know, being a fraud is in. And somebody like me who really actually, I mean, I made probably about $11 million in change, if not more. You know, that's what I was able to get my hands on. What I had accessible to me was about $7 million, you know, like at any given time. That's a lot of money. A lot of money. And, you know, I wear regular clothes, you know, I move a certain way because I'm always thinking about $1. And I see what people look at as what really is money. And I have nobody that I can say that I see on social media that I can say, wow, I want to learn from her, or I want to learn from him. Very few people. But if I went about just what I saw as far as the looks, I would have 100 million mentors. Yeah. You know, I believe heavily in mentorship. You know, I love to mentor and I love to teach. But the problem now is that nobody wants to do the work, because social media makes it look like, you know, if you have a certain look, the money automatically comes to you. That's not how it works. But that's what people think, and that's all people care about. So it's been very difficult for me to penetrate certain markets, to penetrate, you know, like the hip hop world, even in some ways, because I'm not a fraud. If you see me looking a certain way, you know, Aisha got at least $10 million, at least, because my look is going to match my pockets. That's just me. So when I see these people and the look doesn't match, but that's what everybody wants. They don't want to come and sit and learn from the people who had the experience. They want to go to the people, you know, the chicks with the 10 Birkin bags. just that don't really understand how money works.
Stunt.
And there's some success in stunting. Every now and then people do get lucky, it happens, but that's not the overall, success story. And that's what's misled a lot of people. And that's what caused a lot of money to get burned and a lot of people to go to jail because you thinking this person is it, but they really a rat. I mean, it's just so much going on. And I just can't, I've had a hard time fitting in, honestly. I've had a hard time finding, other than Juana, really, I've had a hard time as far as finding a partner that I could do everything with, that understands the grit and the grind. It's been very difficult because it's like, it's just too many frauds.
There's no work ethic. Everything is, social media is the circus, right? And everybody's there, and there's ways to differentiate yourself, but people are more about on the surface. They don't understand that there's work to be done. And a lot of people move away from that. They're like, oh, I gotta put in 10 hours a day. I ain't doing that. They don't want that. But on the flip side of that, Aisha, I want to ask you, have you ever considered opening up your own school?
It's funny you say that because I'm actually working on a program right now. I'm working with obviously Shawana, of course. We do everything together. And Gia, my friend Gia, the house goddess. Let me tell you about Gia.
Uh-oh.
Came home and Gia, I was home for one day and Gia said, you got PayPal? And I said, no, but I'll set it up. She said, set it up. Set it up. She sent me 5 bands. This is the first day I came home. I was locked up with her. Me, Shawana, Gia, we were all together. My other homegirl, Irina, is my good friend. She's Russian. She had a spa. She said, yo, what are you doing? I want to get, it's like everybody just start, throwing stuff at me because they was like, we know you going to come back correct. So it was the females that really.
Like your pops.
Really like my pops, yeah. that really looked out and, really held me down when I came home. It was definitely an eye opener because a lot of people got negative things to say about females, but females are very different. And anyway, so we're starting this course and we're taking it on tour. Mendices is involved. That's my bro. Also Golden Brooks. I don't know if you know who that is. She used to be on Girlfriends.
Right.
And we just basically it's centering around me, Gia, and Juana coming from the bottom. A lot of people say Aisha must have had money hidden. I didn't have nothing. I started from the bottom. I came home with my mind right and a plan, and people trusting me, and that can be replicated. So I'm gonna teach that. Obviously, I'm gonna sell it because it's a course, but I'm gonna teach it. If you with it and you do it, great. If you don't, well, I did my part by giving back and teaching the methodology and the mindset you need to have. It's called Aisha Hall's masterclass. And I'm really excited about that. I think that a lot of people are going to want to be a part of it, are going to want to learn, especially from somebody who they saw actually do it. So I can tell you what to do and what not to do. I know the mistakes that I made and I know that, when I look back, so now if I had done A, B, and C, I wouldn't have gone to jail. I could have taken certain routes. Now I can teach you that, and I also can teach you how to be successful. Because just because it was illegal doesn't mean I wasn't successful. I met a lot of people, a lot of drug dealers that hustle all their life and never had more than $10,000. Then I met a lot of drug dealers, who every month they was pulling in $1 million or $2 million. So just because you're doing something illegal doesn't equate to success.
Right.
So success comes from the person, whether you're doing something legal, illegal, whatever. If you're a successful person, you're going to have a successful story no matter what. So I say that to say when I'm teaching people, I say, don't get it twisted just because I went to prison. I still won because I haven't met anybody my age or that look like me that can say, yeah, I made $10 million in a year. So to me, that's a success story. Now, what makes it a complete success story is me being able to teach other people how to do what I did the right way. So I'm really proud of that.
Aisha, I want to take it back before this, right? So you were making $11 million. You were dealing with $11 million. And how old were you? And how old were you when, you got into trouble at that time?
So I was about 24. I was 24 and I went to prison at 25.
Damn.
So I'm going to tell you, my phone had about $15 million in a pipeline. Those were the deals I had pending when the feds came.
Wow.
So if they never fuck with me, I would have definitely made $100 million, 100%.
Right.
You know, in probably less than 3 years, 100% at the rate that I was going, you know. And and I'm glad that they came when they came. You know, they got anxious. They saw me and they wanted to stop me so bad. I'm glad they did, because had they come later and I made that 50 or 100 mil, I would have probably never came home. You know, I probably would have got a life sentence. So because money in the feds is weighted like drugs. You know, the more drugs, the more time you get. Well, in white collar, the more money, the more time. It doesn't have anything to do with what you did when it comes to white collar. It's how much money you made. So had I done the same thing and made less money, I wouldn't have gotten much time, you know.
Right.
I wouldn't have been, put it like this, I wouldn't have been facing as much time. So it was definitely tied to the money. They compared me to Madoff and all this other crazy shit.
What?
Yeah. And was it like a rat that got you into it, or is it just their work?
Absolutely. Yes and no. Yes and no. You know, I don't want to ever take the blame away from what I did, you know, but what happened was somebody who purchased, because this is what I did. So when people wanted to get into these trades, they had to qualify. They had to have a certain amount of assets. So a lot of these trades would require 30 million, 50 million, 100 million, 500 million, a billion, astronomical numbers that the average person, especially a person of color, did not have. So this is my issue. Let's say, you know, Mr. A gets hits the lotto, you know, and he gets $3 million, and he's like, yo, I want to flip my money, so I want to get into the oil game. So there's an opportunity for you to get in, and you only have to spend $1 million, but it's going to net you 50 million because you're going to go in and start trading oil, right? You have plenty of money. You have 3 million. You're only going to spend $1 million. But when you get to the trade desk, when they ask you what your net worth is, and you say 3 million, they say, I'm sorry, we only deal with people worth 50 million or more. And you're like, but I'm not spending 50 million. I'm only spending $1 million. We're sorry. So now, you know, Peter comes next to you and he's like, yeah, I'm only spending 50,000. And they're like, how much are you worth? Oh, about 60, 70 million. So then they let him in with his 50,000 to spend, but they reject you with your $1 million because you don't have as much as he has, which really isn't fair. But what it's really doing is triangulating wealth, keeping the bases and the masses at the bottom, and the people who have that kind of money, which really is only generational wealth that's going to have access to that kind of money, you know, at the top, and it cuts us out. So I said, oh, I got something for these motherfuckers. Watch this. So I made all of these people that came to me wanting to trade, I made them look like they were worth more than what they were. So now I'm going to review the trade. I'm looking at the qualifications for the trade. I'm sending out POP, which is proof of product, making sure that you're actually getting what you're about to go in and get involved with. Did all of that. Then I turn around and make sure that you look like you're worth the 50 million or the 100 million. Because at the end of the day, once you get in, that's your entry ticket. Once you get in, you're going to spend whatever you're going to spend. That was just to get you through the door. And I'm going to charge you, you know, 10% of that. So I might charge you, you know, 50,000 or whatever. The average fee I charged was about 50 grand. That was average. So, you know, sometimes we would make 200,000 in a single day if we had, you know, how many clients. But anyway, I was able to legally do that. So I was able to go to hedge fund A and say, hedge fund A, I'd like you to add Mr. A to your accounts and attach him temporarily and also do a block. So a block is I can add you to that account, but you don't have access to the money. So you have the money on paper, but you don't physically have access to those funds. So because you were legally added to the paperwork, to the company, or we did like a short-term acquisition, now when you go to that trade desk and they ask you how much you're worth, you can show that paperwork and it's real. It checks out because you've really been added to these accounts. Now, the problem with that is that it would take sometimes 2 weeks, 3 weeks, because we had to do, when you're dealing with that kind of money and those kind of numbers, you know, you have sometimes they want to make sure you're not funding a terrorist project, all kind of stuff. So you have to do all these background checks, and it takes time. So some of my clients would say, you're killing me with the time. I'm going to lose my opportunity to get in this trade. By the time I get the paperwork back, it's going to be no more whatever the commodity is going to be done.
Right.
So this one guy said to me, you just did a deal for my friend. I need 500 million. And I said, I don't have anybody right now that can add you to an account with 500 million in it. Give me a month. Let me look. He said, I need it today. I said, I can't help you. He said, why can't you just take the paperwork you gave for my friend that was 100 million, change that 1 to a 5, put my information, and let me just get to the trade desk and show them the paperwork, and then I'm gonna go in and spend my own money. I just need to get in the door. I said, you know what? He got a point. While I'm going through all of this, it's not like they actually need to spend this money. They just need to show it.
Right.
So I got on the phone, called up the trade bank, a friend of mine, and I said, listen, I'm about to give somebody some paperwork. It's going to show their worth 500 million. He's really not. But when they call to verify it, I need you to make sure that they don't get to see that he's really not worth that money. So you say whatever you got to say. You don't have to say and incriminate yourself that he's worth that amount. Talk around it. Oh, we can't verify that over the phone, but he's good to trade. You know, don't give out the specifics. Be a little vague, but get rid of them.
Right.
So once, and I said, I'll pay you. I'll give you, I don't know, 20 bands, whatever. Yeah, they like, shit, okay. So now this guy pays me what, 200,000 or some crazy number. I give up, 20, 30 bands to this person. I make the exchange. They get the documentation. They go to the trade desk. They say, hey, I want to come in and jump in on this oil trade. Nope. You're not worth enough. Oh, no, yeah, I am. Check out my paperwork. They look, they say, yeah, right. They call up the number, call the bank. The person verifies it. They're like, oh, okay, come on in. Deal's done. I make my money. He makes his money in the trade. The banker made their money. Everybody's happy. First time I did that, I said, oh, shit. So it wasn't for me. I wasn't being greedy or anything. I was just helping my client. And it made the deals easier. So, of course, when that went through.
It's a wrap.
Of course, they said,
and listening to it, it doesn't sound like it's like you're not really hurting anyone. You kind of just putting these fake, so why not? People do it on credit cards. They say they make X amount of money all the time, and they don't.
Yes, same exact thing.
I want to ask you something, Aisha. When you were explaining how these trades work and how you get in and so on and so forth, and the pyramiding of the money, how much of who you are do you think played in the feds coming for you? How much do you think this? I'm sorry?
98%.
Now, can you explain that for the audience? Because I think that's super important.
Well, the first thing is that, they make money from poverty. They make money from middle classism, if that's a word. And when you have somebody that looks like me, that shows the world that this is possible, that's a problem for them. Because now it's an eye opener and a game changer. My entire staff was Black. My lawyer was very blunt with me. I walked into court, I got a lot of money. I walked into court, I got big giant diamond studs in my ear. I got on an Escada suit, back then what was Manolo Blahniks, I come in, looking like what I'm worth. And my lawyer said, come here. She took me out into the hallway. She said, you need to go change right now. And give me those earrings. Give me those earrings. So I'm like, what's the problem? She said, you can't come in here like that. They already have a problem with you as a Black woman. And she was white. She said, looking like that. So I was like, okay. So I'm like, well, what am I supposed to do? So she said, go get. So I had to change my clothes and all this craziness.
Get the doobie.
I went to, I love earrings. So I went to the little beauty supply, grabbed some little 99-cent studs and put them in instead. She said, get those to me. I said, these cost 99 cents. She said, they're not going to believe that.
Nope.
So I said, I have to look like a bum. I said, I have to look like a bum in order to make them feel good, And it's like, if I had been selling drugs, I had a great judge. My judge, John Gleason, was known for being very lenient on drug dealers. Mm-hmm. So when they found out that was my judge, everybody was happy. Oh, he's the best. He ain't going to get no time. What they didn't realize is that they'll respect the sad story of a young Black person or a Latino person that came from the Bronx or Brooklyn or whatever, or from Queens and had to struggle. I feel bad for this person, But a Black bitch coming up in there worth millions of dollars, it's like you out showing some white men. You out your league, boo, and we're going to show you out your league. So they said that they wanted to set a strong deterrence, but it's like a deterrence from who? Nobody else is doing this, but that's what they said. So
they don't want nobody else doing this.
If you're not rapping, if you're not playing sports, if you're not shaking your ass, and you're a black woman, you are out of your league. Now we're gonna make you suffer. Nobody thought I would get 10 years. Nobody. There were women that worked with Raj. I can't remember his name.
I know who you're talking about. I know.
Yeah. He was a $1 billion trader on Wall Street.
Mm-hmm.
I knew people that worked for him that were worth way more than me. 50 million, 100 million. That was their net worth. They got a year and a day, 6 months.
Didn't Madoff get like house arrest until his trial?
Oh no, I was in.
Madoff, Bernie Madoff.
Madoff, yeah, Madoff.
He got like house arrest to his trial or something like that.
But they also charged me with witness tampering. That was one of my charges because they said that I was intimidating people who may have wanted to cooperate against me, and they actually charged me with that. That charge wasn't dropped until I took my plea, and they worked it out where I took one count of conspiracy, and then they gave me another count for obstruction of justice. So I had those 2 charges.
Based on what evidence?
They said that I destroyed evidence, some made up story. I didn't destroy anything. When I first opened my business, I didn't have a lot of money, and I got bootleg cable, right? After everything got big, I never changed the cable. So I called the cleaning lady and I said, do me a favor, get rid of those cable boxes. This is how small I'm thinking. I'm thinking that's the worst thing I get in trouble for. I'll get rid of those cable boxes. They came up with a story that I got rid of the cable boxes because I had some type of data saved, and then they made a whole big thing. They said that I had inside people in the Secret Service, and it was it was crazy. They said I had inside people in the Secret Service. I was too intuitive, but it's just being smart, and they couldn't respect everything that I did, everything that happened in my case. They kept saying, who is behind you? Who's teaching you this? Who's really running this? They could not believe that it was me. So they just kept giving me additional charges, saying I obstructed justice. I was hiding who really ran the business. There was nobody else. It was me. But they were convinced that it had to be some man somewhere pulling the strings, because they kept asking me, who is it? They even went after a guy that I was dealing with. He was in prison at that time. And they said, we think he's running things from prison. I said, oh, really? You think that somebody going to be telling me what to do? Oh, okay. I say, all right, well. And they actually offered me a deal trying to get me to flip on him. They wanted me to make up a whole story. That's how dedicated they are to getting a black man. They were willing to have me lie, to try to bring in somebody who had nothing to do with the situation. It just was, oh man, if you got the movie is going to be epic. It probably can't even be a movie. It has to be a series.
Listen,
it has to be.
that was going to be the next question, because the reality is we know that you've written books. Mm-hmm. We know that you delve into music. I've watched a few of your videos, mm-hmm. and I understand what you're saying as far as your message is concerned, that it just wouldn't be for today's market, mm-hmm. because you definitely have a completely different perspective. Sally, I don't know. I'm going to share one with you after the show. Okay. You definitely have to watch and listen most of all to one of her tunes. But now that the growth, you've been home for quite some time. You've partnered up with very solid people from what we understand. Do you think at any given point that you're going to start putting that script together to try to pitch that? Because it can't be a movie. It has to be a series. There's so much meat, so much meat on the bone for your story, right? And not only that, but it's very telling. Mm-hmm. Most of the time, people like to say that I make everything about race, but it's just a reality. And when you hear this story, I'm sorry? It's a fact.
It's undeniable. The proof is in the numbers. It's in the sentences. Mm-hmm. It's in the evidence of what's happening. I always tell, I would get into heavy debates with prison guards, like I don't care. You know, I'm going to speak my mind. And I started a chess class because I play chess, and I started a chess class in prison because I'm like, a lot of women don't know how to play chess. And I would watch how they would play chess, so emotional, just like you live your life. That's why your ass is in here behind some nigga, because you was emotional, not using your brain. So let's start playing chess and having to think, you know, our way through life a little bit more. And I remember having this conversation with these officers. I was in West Virginia, which is super hillbilly, like, and the only black people they see in this area are the people in jail, you know, so they have a very, you know, negative way of looking at us. So I had this conversation one time, and he was just like, you know, let's just face the facts. Blacks commit more crimes than whites. That's just the reality. Look at the prison. So I said, well, actually, you're wrong. At that time, I said, it's only 13% black in the United States. 13%, right? The majority of this country at that time was white. So when you go into black neighborhoods, and let's say it's a black neighborhood with 1,000 people in it, and it's a white neighborhood with 1,000 people in it, same amount of people. But you got, for every of those 1,000 people, you got, what, 100 police cars. But in the white neighborhood, you got 3. You're going to catch us doing more because you got more eyes on us. If you put the same amount of police in those areas, they're going to catch more. But because we're over-policed, you catch more. You see more, you catch more. You know, I said, so we're over-policed. Because when I was in West Virginia, I said, oh, this is where they got all the white folks hidden. All the meth heads with the meth labs and, you know, all the child molesters. You'd be surprised. This is some crazy shit. And I'm like,
you won't be surprised. Just look at the FBI statistics. It tells a story.
It tells a story. So it's a problem when you got 13% of people and you lock up, you know, 6% of the 13%, and then you got another population that has 65%, and you lock up, let's say, whatever percentage it is. Of course, it's more of y'all. We're not in the same category. But from the time we came to this country, you know, we've been degraded. What do you expect? So I mean, it's just like, you know, they just been on our back since the beginning, and I'm very vocal about it. You know, and I feel like the prison system is just an extension of the slave system. It's no different. My man is locked up right now, and that's another story because we're both felons.
Hold on a second. So at some point, I was going to open that can of worms in the fact of asking you, you know, personally, where are you at, you know, as far as a relationship is concerned? And now that you said that, how tough was it for this man to court you?
It was easy for him. I mean, you know, there's a type for me. It's like my daddy. You know, I can recognize my daddy's energy anywhere, and I seen it right away. I've never even heard this man raise his voice, but he's a commander in chief without a doubt. You know, very respected. Definitely, when he used to do his thing, you know, he was at the upper echelons. You know, and that's what I'm attracted to. Not necessarily being in the street, but just not being
a slouch.
Yeah. And he's an amazing guy. You know, he's the only guy that I shut up for. He's the only guy that I get quiet for.
Okay.
This is let me give you a little image. And this is us here. You can see that?
Yes. Okay.
Yeah, that's my guy right there. And he's on federal probation. I was on federal probation.
Okay.
They have this stupid rule that 2 people on probation can't be together. So you know, it was the middle of the night. I heard that crazy boom, and I looked, and a couple of people he knew had gotten locked up. And he said, you know, I know these people, and I've had conversations with people, and I'm sitting back and I'm thinking, you know, everybody not built like me, so I might have an issue. I don't know. So we already kind of had that thought. So that night when they came like that,
you already knew.
Yeah, he was very calm. He got up, he went and kissed his kids, you know, and came downstairs. But I was the first one downstairs, you know. I was the first one. I said, get your shit together. Because, you know, I knew he was going to be leaving. They're not there for me. I didn't think.
Right.
Came downstairs and I opened the door. And I put my hands up because they was in all the windows, you know, because I'm in my house right now. This is my office in my house, and they were in all the windows with guns, and I saw it through the mirror. There was like little red beams all over me. I'm like, they're not about to Breonna Taylor me.
Wow.
So I opened the door, and it was like, are there guns in the house? Are there? I'm like, no. So they came in, and you know, and they said, who are you? I said, don't worry about who I am. I said, do you have a warrant to be in my house? So, of course, the one black guy that was here, out of all the 50 million police, he's like, oh, we're going to lock her ass up too.
What?
Yeah, and I didn't even do anything, you know?
No, you talking.
So he said, what's your name? I said, like I said, do you have a warrant? If you have a warrant, and it's a proper warrant, you'll know my name. He said, I was just asking, but we know who you are, Miss Hall. We're going to call the probation officer, because I don't think you're supposed to be in here living with no felon. I'm like, oh, God.
Wow.
What they called, so they threatened to lock me up, and I was really devastated because I do a lot of going to, you know, juvenile detention centers, and I preach about doing the right thing, and I'm like, damn, I don't want to look like no hypocrite. I'm going to jail, and I haven't done anything.
Right.
So they said they were going to lock me up for 4 months. So I was like, for what? Well, for being with a felon. So then I got excited. I said, you know what? I want you to. So that now with my following, I can showcase how fucked up this system really is. You know, it's a crime. You can't control who you love, you know, like, so, and I said, if I can't be around felons, I wouldn't have been able to be around my dad. I wouldn't have been able to be around cousins. Like I wouldn't be able to be around nobody. That's not a realistic rule. It's like a way to just catch us up. So, you know, they ended up taking him. When he went to court, they said, Your Honor, you know, he's with a felon. They're under the hashtag Black Love. You can check it out, Your Honor. I was like, these people are crazy as hell. Yeah, and he's been sitting now for a year. No, really, because of COVID, he's just been sitting.
Wow.
Yeah, they have him at the top of a very, very large indictment. Just because I always tell people, if you get accused of rape and you didn't do it, but you raped somebody in the past, it's gonna look like you did it.
For sure.
He used to get busy, you know, he used to. So now it's like, are you telling us you wasn't involved at all? We don't believe that, you know, and that's just, his lawyer said, we're fighting your past. This case is bullshit. It's a state case.
And God forbid the wrong thing was said on the phone, like just like.
Well, that's what happens. So what happens is you having a conversation with somebody and they say this is a code word. And I noticed when I first got with him and we would talk on the phone, and I would be saying anything. I'm like, so you think it's gonna be like 5 o'clock or like 11? Like he's like, please, you know, I'll talk to you when I see you. I said, what's wrong with you? He said, the first time I went to prison, somebody said they was coming to meet me at a certain time, and then they switched the time, but the feds added those times together and says those are 33 bricks or whatever. Right. But he was really talking about time. So with me getting on the phone and having certain things I would say, even the grocery store, how many such and such you gonna pick up? 6, 7? He always say, don't repeat numbers like that. He was paranoid. I'm like, damn. I'm like,
that's why I said it, because I had a friend.
Eggs and shit, like, you know.
I had a friend that was locked up for softballs because they would mention softballs and this and that. And they, oh no, this is included the bricks, and the softballs was the coke, and this was the crack, and so I know exactly.
They just make this shit up. And he told me, he said, oh, I was doing shit back then, but what I got accused of, that wasn't it. You know, it was an innocent conversation about somebody really coming to see me, switching the time, and they added those 2 times together and said, you know, that's the amount of bricks they was talking about bringing or some craziness. I was like, wow.
When they want to apply the law, I would say 40% of the time they're fucking wrong. When they want to press somebody, and then the other 60%, you know, they get lucky. I like to believe.
You're absolutely right.
A lot of police work is people ratting.
Especially with the feds. That conspiracy law is the worst thing that this country has going for itself. That conspiracy law, I remember my friend CJ, welcome home, my sis, and she was like, I have an enhancement for a gun, but I didn't have a gun. I said, so how'd you get an enhancement? She said, well, it was 5 of us in the car. We all got it. One gun can be applied to all the people.
Unless somebody owns up to it.
Yeah.
Even if somebody owns up to it, it doesn't matter.
Oh, really? Oh,
no,
okay.
It doesn't matter. If you get a drug charge and there is a gun, everybody's getting charged with it. And it evokes the 5-year mandatory minimum.
What?
Yes, that's one of the biggest problems.
Mm-hmm. Wow. Yeah, that conspiracy and that RICO shit be.
That conspiracy law is just, it's a motherfucker. That's how I ended up getting 10 years. 10 and a half years. 126 months.
Jesus Christmas. Ladies and gentlemen, if you're just joining the show, I'm your host, Mr. A.
Sally Sassong in the building.
And this is The Set. And today we're talking to the certified Dom, Miss Aisha Hall. And I say that because she went in holding 10. They gave her 10. And she still came home and she's still looking like a 10. Right, Miss Hall?
Thank you.
You're welcome. Why don't you tell the people about your sentencing, where you were financially, and how that all unfolded for you?
Yeah, I always tell the story of how I went to the ATM. It's a little rinky-dink ATM. Mm-hmm. And I withdrew some money because where I was going only took cash. And I remember going crazy because it said that I had $900 and something thousand. And I'm like, how is this possible? But the receipt from this little ATM was so skinny that it couldn't fit my full balance. And I say, damn, bitch, you a baller. It can't fit the full amount on your ATM receipt. You know that you really got a bag. And that also had a deeper message because I realized that the world is set up for people to be broke. They don't even have, the right size receipt for people who really get into that level. It's like it's set. They expect it to.
Everyone here is coming broke. That's coming to this ATM.
It was crazy to me. This is where I was financially when I, got my case. And the way I found out that I had this issue with the feds was I was in the grocery store and I tried to pay with my debit card and it kept getting declined. And I knew that I had the money. So I'm like, something isn't right. And right at that moment, my employees, they start hitting me up like, yo, we tried to cash our check. We having a problem. So I'm like, what the hell is going on? And that's when I called the bank. Let me tell you something. I shut down the entire Chase bank system. Let me tell you. When I tell you, I called every number that Chase Bank had, and no matter where I called, I would not get an answer. I called headquarters. I called because they were trying to get a arrest warrant for me, and they were trying to seize my money. Had I spoken to the correct banker, I would have been able to go in and get my money. So they had some type of thing going on where no matter what phone I called from, no matter what branch I called, I could not speak to anyone. It was the craziest thing I ever experienced. I'm like, I don't know how they were able to do this. I wasn't able to get somebody on the phone until they wanted me to get on the phone. And they came on the phone and they said, Ms. Hall, we have a problem with your bank account. And I said, what's the problem? You have too much money. Your account went from 20,000 to several million in a very short time. And the bank is just a little bit uncomfortable with that kind of money coming in. You're in the wrong bank. You need to be at a private bank or an investment bank. But I didn't know. I made so much money so fast. I didn't know. So I said, okay. I thought that was a little bit strange because I said, all right, so where's my money? We're going to give it back to you. At this time, I had in this particular account, I think about $4 or $5 million in this particular account. I said, well, let me come in and get my money. No. We don't want to exchange that kind of money in the bank. I said, give me a cashier's check, one piece of paper. Now, what we're going to do is overnight your balance. Where are you? The where are you is what
yeah.
We're going to overnight it to you. So I was in Detroit, but I owned a house in Atlanta. So I said, I'm in Atlanta right now. I really wasn't. I want to play with me and play with y'all. So
he was coming to me.
I said, I'm in Atlanta. They said, you're there right now? I said, yes. They said, okay, great. We're going to overnight the check there. I said, so y'all are going to overnight a $6 million check to Atlanta, to my house right now. They said, yes, it'll be there in the morning. I said, okay. And I called the lawyer and I said, listen, I got a check coming, but something's not right. How much would you charge me to fly with me to Atlanta right now or in the morning so I can pick up my money? Just so you make sure if anybody tries to play any games that I get my money. He said, for the day, I don't know, $1,500. I said, okay, no problem. Got his ticket. We went. I didn't tell him what I was waiting for. I just
Magic City stop.
Once I told him what it was, the amount, he probably would have said 15,000. But
yeah, for sure.
I want you to give me your price. If you're a high-end lawyer, just give me the price. Don't worry about what I got. So we get on the plane, and when we get there, the Secret Service was outside my house. Now we didn't know it was a Secret Service at that time. But the lawyer, having a sharp eye, said, that I don't like the way that the SUV looks sitting in front of the house. And he said, I'm going to go over there and investigate a little bit. So I said, okay. So when he comes back, he said, how much is this check that you waiting on? I said, why? He said, because that's the Secret Service out there. I said, really? How do you know? He said, I knocked on a window and they cracked it about this much. And he said he saw U.S. Secret Service on their vest. And he said to them, oh, this is a quiet new neighborhood. This was a brand new house in a new subdivision. We pretty much know all the neighbors and you just been sitting out here for a while. I just wanted to make sure, it's kids out here. I wanted to make sure you guys weren't, some strange folks, So they was like, have a nice day and rolled up the window. So when he came inside, he was like, yo, that's the Secret Service. Now, I don't know if they're here for this house, but it's just a little odd to me that you coming to get a check. How much is this check? Because if the Secret Service is here, it must be a lot of money. And I said, it's a lot. He said, what's a lot? I said, it's a lot. So when he kept asking me, I said, listen, maybe, I don't know, $6 million. What? And I only charge you $1,500. I said, you see what I'm saying? Dealing with black folks, right? So now the Secret Service, they come deep. Okay, they pull up now and they come knock on the door. And they said, don't leave this house. And I said, excuse me? They said, we're waiting on the officer in charge. And he has the warrant and he just landed. He'll be here shortly. If I knew what I knew now, I would have left because, they didn't have the warrant yet, Yeah, they weren't there on the premises, right. But I didn't know any better. So I stayed in and then they came and they said, so the first thing I said is, y'all got my money? We going through all of this so y'all can ask me questions about my money. As long as I gave my money, I can ask me whatever y'all want.
Right.
Said, no. We're not giving you your money. We got something else for you. And they pulled out arrest warrants for my bank accounts. I'd never even heard of that. They gave me arrest warrants for every one of my bank accounts, which was how the feds do seizures.
Mm-hmm.
6 million from this account, 2 million from here, whatever, all my cars, everything. And it was a civil case. I was not being criminally charged. It was a civil case. So you know what I did? Took my ass back to Detroit, sat down with my team, and I said, listen, it's over. This trade game is over. Next line of business, what are we going to do? And then that's when I got involved in the buying gold. So I sent the team to Africa, and we purchased several kilos of gold, brought it back here to the United States, took it to Manhattan to these refineries. It's a company called Malka Amit that picked up the gold from the airport because, it needed to be, secured. Mm-hmm. And they melt the gold and they give you a wire right on the spot for 3% less than whatever the market closed at the day before. So that's their profit, that 3%. And they would buy unlimited amounts of gold on the spot. So I said, well, who are y'all selling to? Guess who they said they were selling to?
Jews?
Federal Reserve.
What?
Mm-hmm. The Federal Reserve has gold brokers right here in New York. They have gold brokers and they want as much gold as possible. And there's no tax on bringing gold into U.S. So I said, oh, shit, I didn't hit a gold mine, literally. So now what I did was I sold the gold, took the money, wired it right back to Africa, bought more gold, did that over again. Here I am back at $1.5 million after I lost everything.
Oh, that must have made them happy.
Oh, so then I got criminally indicted after that. So I was saying that to say, when they took all my money and they thought that they just ruined me, they was okay with that. But then when I turned around and the little bit of money I had about 20 grand left, which is nothing because they took everything. 20 grand left. And my grandfather gave me $50,000. He took it from his retirement fund. And he said, you know, I know you know what to do with money. So I said, either I can borrow it from the bank and have to pay the bank back, or I can borrow from you, Poppy, and pay you back and give you interest. I'd rather give it to my own peoples, you know? So he gave me the money. I took that 50,000 and turned it into another million, you know? And that's when they came for me. They said, oh, this bitch got to go. But not only did I do that, I said, I don't know what these people's plans for me are. So let me hurry up and go diversify. So I went and got a trucking company doing tractor trailers. I went and purchased a warehouse so that I had a place to park them in, and then I could do storage. I went and bought 75 houses. I went and got a restaurant, a bar and grill.
You said 75 houses?
75 houses. I bought
Akon? Like what? Wow. That's crazy.
I bought 75 houses. The guys that worked for me, I said, I may be gone. I'm going to do everything in my power so that you don't have to go nowhere. But if I'm gone, I need to be able to come home to some bread. So these 75 houses right here can make us way more wealthy than we already are. So if I go away, hold this down. I didn't know that we were all going to go away, unfortunately. But, so I have all these things going on. So I started Legacy Commodities, Legacy Housing, Legacy Trucking, Legacy Investments, because I wanted to leave my legacy. Remember I told you my pops?
Yeah.
Always, in the back of my mind. And I had all this going on. Then they came for me. And I'll never forget. I went to court and they remanded me. They said that I was a threat, that I threatened witnesses, whatever, and that I had to be remanded. So I'm in court and they handcuffed me, shackled me up, put me on the bus. I'm the only girl on the bus. It's about maybe 60 guys on the bus, and we going to MDC, MDC Brooklyn.
Yeah.
And I'm in the cage, and the guys are screaming, going crazy, because I didn't think I was going to jail. So I wasn't, I'm dressed up, I'm looking cute, and they going, telling, come back here, don't put in a cage, put it on my face. They were saying the craziest shit. And I'm laughing. I'm like, whatever. So then all of a sudden, check this out. This is movie stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I'm on the federal bus, the U.S. Marshal bus. And the U.S. Marshals get a call on the radio. You need to pull over immediately. Who the hell can pull over the U.S. Marshals? So the U.S. Marshals was looking at each other like, the hell? So they pull over and they open the door and the Secret Service gets on the bus. They say, you're carrying one inmate, Aisha Hall. We need her to come with us. Where is she? The dudes was like, yo, Ma, you a terrorist.
Surprise, motherfucker.
Yo, they was going crazy so now I'm like, oh shit, we're on our way to the jail. What's worse than that? Where are you taking me?
Yeah.
Right.
So they come and they open it because now I'm in a cage. So when it's one female, they put you in a cage.
Right.
You're on a bus with a bunch of men. And they open up the cage and they take me out and put me in the back of their truck. Just to talk shit to me. Miss Hall.
To intimidate you?
Yeah, let me tell you something. They said, so, how's it feel? You ain't the boss lady no more. This is the exact words to me. They're like, boss lady. Because that's what my boys, that's what they used to call me, boss lady, and there was a big giant card in my office when they came and they took everything. And it was like, we love you, boss lady, So everything was boss lady. So they kept saying that. You ain't the boss lady no more. So Agent Purcell, I'll never forget him. He said, we weren't going to bother you, but you just had to have that Africa shit going on. You had to go get that gold. You just couldn't sit down. I'm like, wow. So after that, my case was criminal, and when I went in that day, I never got out until, a couple of years ago.
Aisha, was anything that you did when purchasing this gold illegal?
No.
Was there any amount?
No.
So there was nothing illegal about the gold you were buying, not the transporting of it, not the purchase of it, nothing.
No, the gold wasn't part of my case at all. My case was what I was doing with the trading, but they decided to take it from civil to criminal. And he said that was the motivation. You know, when you take that much millions from someone, you figure they're broken. But when you're making M's, and this is why my course is going to be successful, there's a formula. Doesn't matter if I'm selling seashells. I got the formula. Once I went from the trading stuff to the gold, something clicked. I'm like, yo, I got the formula. I know exactly what principles to apply to business so that I'm always going to be on this level. You know what I'm saying? And that's what they had a problem with. That's what they wanted to break. They could not believe that they took all of that from me and then turned around and watched me go in less than 2 months. I was back in the M's, you know, from the 50 grand I got from my grandpa and the 70,000. They could not accept that. They could not. So
it was like a slap in the face.
Slap in the face to them. And it's sad that it was a slap in the face because I got my warning and I went and did something else and it was legal.
Right.
Gold business never came up in my case. So I go to court and it's time for me, you know, to get bonded out. And when I tried to get bonded out, the judge said, the Secret Service has an issue and the government has an issue with you. I don't know what you did to these people. I don't see a reason not to give you bond, but they think you're going to flee the country. And I said, where am I going? Well, you didn't tell me that you owned a bar and grill. They said you make enough money there to lead a life abroad. And I said, anything you want to know about my money, I tell you. I don't have any secrets. They said, will you take the stand? I said, absolutely. They wanted me to testify about my money. No problem. So I get on the stand and they say, Ms. Hall, we see withdrawal for $10,000. What was that for? I said, I don't know. Shit, I got millions of dollars. I don't know what the hell, $10,000. But that was the problem because $10,000 was a lot of money to them, but that shit was pennies to me at that time. So the fact that I couldn't remember where I spent
ashtray money.
Yeah, it made me look like I was hiding something, but I really didn't remember. So then they kept going through my bank account, asking me all these questions. Where did you spend this? I don't know. So my lawyer said, can I have a moment with my client? She said, the next question they ask you, you better make something up. You better remember something because they're thinking that you're lying. She said, I know you're not, but these people are regular working people. They can't equate to you saying you don't remember where you spent $10,000 and $20,000.
They can't. Wait, let me correct you. They can't understand a black woman saying, oh, I don't remember. If you was Beverly from Montana, they wouldn't have thought twice about it, would they? You know, it wouldn't have been no thing because it would have been regular shit.
Yes, it would have. And they just couldn't believe it. And you know, it ended up being where after I went through everything, they said, Ms. Hall, he said, you just sent out $100,000. Just $100,000 to my grandpa because he did $50,000. I gave back $100 on his money. You know,
Wi-Fi.
They said,
Miss Hall, if you hear us, your Wi-Fi is chopping you up. Oh.
Can you hear me?
We hear you, child.
Hold on a second.
Yeah, I got a full. All my bars are there.
All right, let me see. Sorry.
It's okay.
All right, go ahead. Sorry.
Y'all can hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. What's the last thing I said? I lost my train of thought. They asked me about the 100,000. But I had sent the 100,000 to my grandpa. I doubled his money. He gave me that 50,000. I gave him 100 back.
Right.
So they saw the withdrawal of 100 a couple days ago. So the judge said, where did that 100 go? I said, I gave it to my grandfather. The government said she's lying because they didn't know. I sent him a cashier's check. You know, it was blank. They didn't know. He said she's lying. My grandfather didn't know I was locked up. They called my grandfather in the court, put the phone on speaker up to the mic. And my grandpa, you know, he's an old school New Yorker. He's from Queens. Yeah, he's like, hello, you know. Mr. Hunt, we got your granddaughter in federal custody. My grandfather said, what? She's in court. And what you say next depends on if I decide to let her out or not. So my grandfather's a G. So my grandfather said, okay, well, first of all, how do I know you really a judge? And you ain't somebody trying to extort my granddaughter. So the whole court busts out laughing because he's like, you just calling up my phone, like, who are you?
Yeah,
so,
who the fuck are you?
Yeah, so the judge was like, you got a point. I'm judge such and such. These are my credentials, blah, blah, blah. So he says, your granddaughter sent you some money. How much was it? So in my head, I'm like, oh, shit. Don't lie, because, he'll lie, So he said, Aisha, can I answer? So I said, go ahead, Papa, you can answer. He said, all right, 100,000. So the judge looks at me and goes like this. He says, what was it for? He said, well, I haven't spoken to her. I just got the money overnight in the mail. But I'm assuming that it's for the money I gave her to go invest in some gold. Just like what I said. So he said, thank you very much, Mr. Hunt. He said, we'll be in touch. And he hangs up. He said, Ms. Hall, you were honest. I have no reason at all to deny you bail. I'm going to allow you out. And I'm happy because I got about $1.25 million in another bank account that they didn't seize. So I'm like, shit, I'm good. So as the moment they're about to let me out, they take me in the back, take off my shackles, everything. They come back and said, Ms. Hall, they need you back in the courtroom. There was a turn of events. I said, well, what the hell happened now? The Secret Service said that they don't want to let you out without an ankle bracelet. I said, the prosecutor, I said, all right, whatever, that's fine. They go, and I'm waiting for the ankle bracelet. 2 hours pass, bring me back in the courtroom. Ms. Hall, there's been a turn of events. I'm like, what type of shit is this?
Soap opera.
There is no ankle bracelets in the district. So we have to order them, and it's going to take approximately a week or so. So I'm willing to give you bond, but the compromise is that I hold you for that week until the bracelet comes. So I'm pissed. So my lawyer said, listen, they are very adamant about keeping you locked up. A week is nothing. Just relax. So I said, okay. The week passes. Oh, not only that, the judge also said, I also am aware of funds that you have in an account. Where do those funds come from? I said, Your Honor, those are the net proceeds from my gold business in Africa, which is 100% legal. He said, give me a day or two to check it out. I come back in court. The judge says, Ms. Hall, it absolutely checked out. Those funds came from some gold transactions, blah, blah, blah. Not only am I giving you bond and allowing you to get out when your bracelet comes, I'm also giving you access to those funds. Those funds are not to be touched. They are to go into possession of Ms. Hall upon her release. I was trying to hold my smile, So I go in, I'm waiting and waiting and waiting days and days and days and days for my bracelet. My bracelet finally comes. They put it on. Let me tell you something. I walked out of there. I ran full speed to the bank. I literally ran to the bank because I wanted to get my $1 million.
Yeah.
I went to the bank.
Ankle bracelet was coming off like Forrest Gump and shit.
Kicking up dust to the bank.
And I'm like, I'm coming to get my money. And when I got in the bank and I gave them my ID and they pull up their account, they say, I'm sorry, those funds were just seized yesterday by the U.S. Secret Service. So the plot was revealed. They lied about the ankle bracelet thing to hold me because they went to a senior judge in New York, because I was in Detroit at the time, who overrode this judge. This judge was a magistrate. So they went to the head judge and overrode his decision and got the seizure for that money. And that money disappeared. And I'm going to tell you this, and this is the craziest thing in my case, that money never came up in any of my paperwork. That money never came up in any of my discovery. That money never came up again. Disappeared, stolen, gone. And when I was getting sentenced, that money put me over the hump to get those 10 years because they added that money as a to my loss amount, but they never showed any seizure. They said the money was lost and that I had the money hidden somewhere. And my argument was, no, that money was stolen. So my lawyer said, the only way to truly argue that is to go to trial. Do you want to go to trial and risk getting 20 years? or do you want to take this plea? So I took the plea, and I didn't get to argue about the money, and the money was gone. Not only was the money gone, but the warehouse that I bought was burnt down to the ground mysteriously. I'm telling you, it was crazy. They didn't want me to have anything. They were so mad that I had accumulated all of this. Now, mind you, the warehouse wasn't just a warehouse. I got trucks, everything gone. The tire shop across the street that has cameras, mysteriously, all of their cameras were disabled to see who started the fire. Fire marshal told me and my family it was 100% arson. He didn't know what was going on, so he was honest.
Right.
It was arson because this building was an abandoned warehouse that I bought. Obviously, easily could have been worth millions of dollars once it was, fixed up or whatever. Had about an acre attached to it. Had a house attached to it, and had no electricity, nothing. There was nothing that could start a fire. It had to be deliberately set, and it was burned down to the ground. My money was seized, disappeared, and I sat in prison for 10 years. I mean, that's how that story went.
So, all right. I think that your story definitely needs to be told on the screen. And I hope that in some future move that you make, that comes to fruition. What I'd like for you to do now is explain to the audience what are the future moves for Miss Aisha Hall and her team. What are we looking to get into in the very near future?
So, big things, because once you live on that level and experience that type of freedom, because that's what that money is. It's freedom. I didn't know what the gas prices were. I didn't know what anything cost. I just bought. I didn't have to. And I still didn't touch but a tip of the iceberg of what I had. And so my goal has been to surpass that. And I had to come up with ways to be able to do that and make it so that, I have not just money coming in lump sums, but long-term money. Right. So one of the things that people can expect from me is QuadraScore.
Okay.
And QuadraScore, I have a credit repair company with Shawana, and it's pretty successful. It's a little bit of a pain in the ass because the credit bureaus really discriminate against us. They really do. And we fight with them tooth and nail. It's a lot of work. And I'm used to being a boss. I don't do a lot of work. I'm used to being able to have an idea, and then I give other people to work, and they build themselves up, and hopefully they'll go on and be the boss. That's the goal. So doing this manual stuff is a little bit like I'm over it.
It's not like the boss lady's alley.
I'm over it. But anyway, QuadraScore is a competitor for the credit bureaus. The name quad means fourth. So It's like a fourth bureau. And what I would be reporting is one thing, and that's rent. I see, my people struggle with trying to own real estate, and they can't because they don't have any credit. They don't have even bad credit. They have no credit, but they have been paying rent. Some people 10, 20 years, and there's nothing to show for it. The only thing about rent that shows on your credit is usually an eviction. Or there's some companies that will report your rent to the credit bureaus, but then it's mixed in with all the other bad stuff. So I wanted to create a bureau that's only for renters. It reports your rent. Every time you pay your rent, it gets reported to this bureau. It spits out a score. So when you want to go purchase a home or you want to look for a new apartment, rather than them pulling your credit, they pull your QuadraScore, and they can see your rental history and give you the benefits that you deserve for paying your rent on time, because that counts for something. Rent is not cheap. That's right. I'm developing that right now. It's really dope. I hope to change the game with that. So that's one thing that people will see coming from me. Another thing, a very prominent show that I cannot say the name of.
That's fine.
But they've asked me to be on that show, and I'm really excited about it because I think that me coming to anything that showcases Black women, it's a game changer because I bring a different type of energy, as you said.
Yes.
And I want to bring that, maybe to bring that out of more people. So I'm excited about that. So I'm definitely going to be hitting the national or international television stage.
Nice.
I'm taking acting classes right now. I've been asked to do my first movie, so I'm excited about that.
Okay.
There's some A-list actors in that movie, and I thought that they wanted me to do a little C role, but no, they are giving me a major part. From what I understand, so I'm excited about that.
Nice.
I'm excited about my courses that are going to be rolling out, not just online, but also we're taking that on tour. My books, I have a book that I'm trying to get picked up in school districts. It's called Larry the Lending Lion, and it teaches children about credit. So it teaches kids, it rhymes. So I'm using my rhyming skills. It teaches kids about good credit, bad credit, banking, borrowing, interest, all of that. So they can expect that. The list goes on and on. I'm a busy chick, you know. I got to try to make all these millions, you know, legally. So I got to break it up a little bit, you know. And so, yeah, all of that. And, of course, the credit repair that I have with Shawana. Very popular. A lot of people have had their lives changed by us too, you know, chicks that came out of jail, you know, using our skill set, especially Shawana, because Shawana was like the ultimate scammer. And you know, she was the swipe queen. And now she's taking those same skills and all her little, that's what makes us different, because Shawana has access to anybody's social, anybody's date of birth. Because the dark web that she used to get that stuff from is how she used to be able to get this information. So now what she does, she still gets your information from there, but she uses it to prove to the credit bureaus that your information was stolen to get the negative stuff removed. So we flip the game, you know what I mean? So we let the clients know, we're going to pull your info from the dark web and make the credit bureaus have to prove to us that the information they're reporting is inaccurate.
Right.
That it didn't come from them. I got my evidence, where's yours? You know, and then they have to remove stuff. So we do it a little bit different, and it really is literally flipping the game. So we're known as the credit flippers. So, you know, that's what we have on the table right now. I believe that Shawana is going to be doing American Gangster as well. So kudos to her.
Salute.
Yes, a couple of ladies are doing American Gangster, and I wrote their book. So when I was away, I would write everybody's life story. That was my hustle. I would write people's books. And fortunately, some of those books have gotten the attention that their stories are going to be getting told on these same platforms that I was able to be on. So, yeah, so I have 13 books. So I wrote the whole time I was away. And those books hopefully will, you know, be bestsellers in the near future. So it's a lot.
Aisha, I just want to say, you know, as a woman of color, right? But I think women in general right now, you guys need to step up, because they're looking to take your rights. Shit that's going down in Texas and all that. Y'all got to step up, and you know, y'all the backbone. Regardless of what we say, y'all the backbone.
And
dude, I'm sorry, Aisha. You trying to fire her up now? Like you want to go down there?
I'm just, you know, I had to let her know before we sign off.
Listen, I don't even think Ms. Hall needs that from us. I think she is already on.
I need everybody else to hear that too, though.
Yeah, for sure. I think listen, we all know there's a need for the women to come step to the forefront. And I think that having you on, Ms. Hall, is indicative of that, because I don't hear many women in the forefront speak the way you do, present yourself the way that you do, hustle the way that you do. That is a reflection of who we are. Right. And it is super important, because young ladies, young women need to see somebody like them out there doing the things that you're doing, because then they know it's possible. I never knew anything about private trading desks. And it's funny, because me and my partner here worked at a trading house. We never knew anything about that.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying? And just the way your whole story, you know, came to be, and how you used your drive and your ambition to put these businesses together and make things happen. They need to see you, right? Ladies and gentlemen, I'm just going to tell you, if you're just joining us, you done fucked up, because we at the end of the show. But I also want to say, Sally, and I'm not trying to be too long-winded. Ms. Hall, as we tell all our guests, you're now part of the Set family. If you ever need anything to promote, if you want to update us, if you got a new book coming out, when your seminar is going to start happening. The first
Chop It Up. Join us for a Chop It Up.
Yeah, join us for a current events episode where we chop it up and we talk about world events. Whatever. This is your platform. You're always welcome here. And we really thank you and appreciate you for your time.
And please promote your social media.
Oh, I'm sorry, I got a jail call, so I just answered. You're gonna sit and chill. This is y'all can say hi to him if you want. This is the man right here that was able to capture the heart of me.
All right.
Which is not
the boss lady.
Yeah, the boss lady.
The boss lady.
And say what's up to Mr. A and Sally Sasson.
Hello?
Yeah, you heard me? I said, say what's up to Mr. A and Sally.
Hey, what's going on, y'all?
Salute.
Hanging, brother, hanging. How you doing, boss?
So I'm on a podcast right now. We just ended, but hold on 1 second. So anyway, he's good. He loves listening to me do my thing all the time. Whatever.
That's what's up. So,
yeah, super supportive.
Yeah.
Definitely my other half. Yeah, y'all can check me out on Instagram.
Mm-hmm.
The Real Aisha Hall, at The Real Aisha Hall. I have plenty of interviews on YouTube. Y'all can check me out. I've been on The Breakfast Club. I've been on, tens and tens of podcasts if they want to hear my story. Check out my music videos. Download my music. I'm on every streaming platform. So just check me out, and you can always reach out to me through the gram. I try to respond to as many people as I can.
Mm-hmm.
If you need my services, just hit me up. And thank y'all for having me. This was definitely,
of course,
definitely a dope interview. You guys are keeping it hot.
No, for sure. We were glad that you were able to give us your time. And this is a conversation we're looking forward to have. But again, we appreciate you. And like I said, platform's yours. And keep us abreast of what's going on with the seminars, because I know there's a few women already hidden in the chat room. They're like, yo, we want to know. Check out her gram. I am Aisha Hall?
The Real Aisha Hall.
Oh, the
real.
Okay.
Check out IG. So I'm the real. Okay.
Thank you again. Hold your head, big man. Hold your head.
Yeah, salute. 10 toes down.
Thank y'all.
Thank you so much. All right. Oh, the real Miss Aisha Hall. Dude. Man. I honestly, first I have to apologize. I think I got a little too carried away with my little description of Miss Hall. I hope that didn't come off the wrong way. But honestly, I want everybody that's in the room to understand, man, there are good women out there. There are women that are about it. There are women that are supportive and play their position. And that's not being, barefoot and pregnant in the kitchen. None of that. They understand the balance between men and women. And I think Miss Aisha Hall clearly demonstrated that. And I hope all the women and the good dudes out there can appreciate what she brought to the table.
I think, man, some guys and some, we have to look at each other as equals, like we said the other day with that girl with the, I make more money, and you have to be equals, man, and support each other.
Find the balance, man. But super dope show. So we out of here. We cutting this out now.
I'm gonna
check us out next week. We got some special.
9/11 anniversary is coming up, so we got hopefully something lined up nice for you guys.
Yeah, we're gonna have something very special for everybody, especially our New York City natives, even the transplants. 9/11's coming up. We got a very, very, very special show. Somebody who, man, I think everybody just tune in, man. It's gonna be a great show. To my Komai, I see you. Josiah and AC, you better be good. So, we out?
Yes, sir.
All right, let's go.